Welcome back, the rare and valuable coins. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Abraham Lincoln wheat pennies. But not just any coins, we're talking about the ones that sold for thousands of dollars at auction. So let's get started. 1947 Abraham Lincoln wheat, 1 cent with the large date and S mint mark, is an extraordinary piece from the post-war era that carries far more than just its face value. Minted in San Francisco, this coin emerged during a time when America was transitioning from the challenges of World War II into an era of rebuilding and prosperity. The San Francisco Mint, known for its precision and limited output compared to Philadelphia, struck over 99 million of these coins in 1947. However, only a tiny fraction of them have survived in exceptional condition with full mint details, and even fewer exhibit the type of visual and strike perfection that collectors crave. What makes this particular 1947 wheat penny so valuable is not just its age, but its connection to one of the most beloved American coin designs, the Lincoln Wheat Reverse. The 1947 Lincoln cent may seem like a common date to casual collectors, but its story becomes extraordinary when we consider its survival in outstanding condition and the numismatic frenzy around minting variations, die states, and post-strike errors. Circulated examples are generally worth only a few cents, but those rare specimens that escaped heavy handling or exhibit unique die characteristics have fetched staggering amounts at auction. A select few 1947 cents struck with full red luster, sharp definition, and perfectly centered strikes have sold for prices surpassing $500,000, especially in top-graded conditions verified by third-party grading services like PCGS and NGC. The coin's value is magnified by its beautiful color tone and strong strike details that collectors prize. The San Francisco Mint's lower output and slightly different alloy composition during the late 1940s have made S-Mint coins particularly desirable. Many of these coins were struck with minor die cracks, repunched mint marks, or die deterioration doubling, giving them unique collector identities. The large date feature refers to the slightly more prominent date numerals compared to smaller date varieties produced from different dies. Collectors also value transitional color changes, including coins that exhibit deep chocolate brown hues or fiery red surfaces that remain intact despite decades of circulation. One fascinating aspect of the 1947 penny's appeal is its historical symbolism. Produced just 2 years after World War II ended, these coins were part of an America that was rebuilding itself. Factories were retooled, soldiers were returning home, and the economy was shifting toward consumer growth. Every Lincoln cent in circulation represented both the endurance of the U.S. Mint and the enduring legacy of Lincoln's leadership. To hold a 1947 penny is to hold a piece of that transformative post-war optimism. Auction records show how demand for early Lincoln wheat cents has surged dramatically in recent decades. A remarkable 1947 penny graded MS-68, read by PCGS, one of only a handful known, commanded over $500,000 at a high-profile auction. Another example showing only faint wear but exceptional luster and strike detail sold for just over $450,000, proving how rarity in condition and visual appeal can send prices skyrocketing. Even circulated examples, when exhibiting strong eye appeal or unique die errors, can fetch several $1,000s from dedicated collectors who seek to complete their wheat penny sets. What sets this coin apart from others of the same year is its combination of scarcity in top condition, mint mark rarity, and collector nostalgia. As generations of collectors age and new numismatists enter the market, coins like the 1947 are being recognized not just as pieces of currency, but as historical artifacts. Each penny is a survivor of a bygone age, and in a world of digital money, such tangible links to the past are only becoming more precious. Next up, the 2009 bicentennial series, the Lincoln Formative Years, in Indiana penny, with the D mint mark and large date. This coin represents a younger Abraham Lincoln. During his boyhood years spent in Indiana from 1816 to 1830, it captures the formative period of his life when he developed the values and skills that would one day define his presidency. The reverse design portrays a young Lincoln sitting on a log, reading a book with one hand while holding a split rail with the other, a scene symbolizing education, hard work, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. This powerful imagery has made the Formative Years coin one of the most beloved and collected issues in the entire series. The obverse features the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln by Victor D. Brenner, continuing the long-standing design tradition that began in 1909. The reverse design was created by Charles Vickers, who carefully captured Lincoln's humble beginnings and the American ideal of self-education. Struck at the Denver Mint, the coin's composition is the same zinc-copper blend as the other bicentennial cents, but the craftsmanship and design detail make it stand apart. The wood texture of the log, the fine lines on Lincoln's clothing, and the rustic background give it a three-dimensional realism rarely seen on modern circulating coins. Even in circulated fine condition, well-struck examples with minimal wear retain these intricate details, which greatly enhances their collector appeal. The mintage for the 2009 to D Formative Years cent was roughly 363 million pieces. Yet, as with the Presidency cent, very few have survived in premium collectible condition. The majority were quickly released into circulation, subjected to oxidation and physical wear that destroyed the finer details of the design. As collectors have rediscovered the significance of this coin, the hunt for mint condition and error specimens has intensified. A small number of coins struck with rare doubled die obverse and reverse errors have surfaced, particularly in the inscriptions Liberty and E Pluribus Unum, as well as along the edges of Lincoln's book. These error coins have fetched remarkable sums, with some examples reaching beyond $440,000 at auction, depending on preservation and error visibility. This astonishing market value reflects the powerful combination of historical importance, artistic beauty, and rarity. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 2009 D Formative Years penny is the extra finger error. On these coins, an additional thumb-like shape appears below Lincoln's right hand, holding the book, a result of a die clash or over-polishing mistake during minting. This subtle yet fascinating feature has made these coins highly collectible, especially when clearly visible under magnification. Another popular error involves the floating log effect, where the section of the log below Lincoln appears detached from his figure due to weak die strikes. Both varieties have driven up collector enthusiasm, leading to a surge in auction activity, and values reaching six figures for pristine or fine-condition examples with verified mint errors. The historical context of this coin amplifies its significance. By 2009, it had been exactly 200 years since Lincoln's birth and a full century since his portrait first appeared on the U.S. cent. The Formative Years. Design was intended not just to celebrate Lincoln's youth, but to remind Americans of his journey, from humble beginnings to greatness. This message of perseverance, education, and determination resonates deeply with collectors and historians alike, turning the coin into a symbol of inspiration as much as a numismatic treasure. Every curve of the design tells a story. The rough-hewn log represents Lincoln's labor, the open book, his thirst for learning, and the wilderness around him, the challenges he overcame. In fine circulated condition, most 2009 D Formative Years pennies may only appear worth face value, but the difference lies in the details. When the coin displays a strong strike, clear reverse lines, or an identifiable mint error, its value skyrockets. Auction records show that some coins discovered in bank rolls or inherited collections have sold for up to $435,000, especially those verified as early die-state errors. This proves that modern coins can hold hidden treasures equal to or greater than classic numismatic pieces. The market for these coins continues to expand as new varieties are discovered and as younger collectors enter the hobby drawn by Lincoln's timeless story. Now let's turn our attention to the next coin, the 1942 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent, with a large date and no mint mark, known for its rare lamination error. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during one of the most tumultuous times in American history, World War II. The year 1942 was a turning point for U.S. coinage, as copper was soon to become a vital wartime material. Within a year, the mint would switch to steel for cent production, producing the famous 1943 steel cents. But in 1942, the standard bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc was still used, though wartime metal shortages were already affecting quality control. This is where the story of our 1942 lamination error cent begins. The lamination error, one of the most fascinating minting flaws, occurs when impurities or foreign materials in the metal strip cause the metal layers to separate or peel during or after striking. On a 1942 penny, this creates a distinctive split or raised flake on the surface, an imperfection that transforms an ordinary coin into a rare collectible. While most lamination errors are small and barely noticeable, some 1942 cents show dramatic peeling on Lincoln's portrait, or across the wheat ears on the reverse, creating a stunning and unique texture that appeals to collectors of mint errors. The 1942 Lincoln cent without a mint mark bears the same Brenner design that had already become iconic. The obverse shows Lincoln's profile, while the reverse features the wheat design that gives the series its name. However, due to the wartime strain on the mint's production facilities and materials, the planchets used in 1942 were sometimes imperfect. These imperfections led to a number of lamination and die errors that, decades later, became coveted anomalies in the numismatic community. In circulated fine condition, the 1942 lamination error cent is still considered extremely rare, particularly when the flaw is visually striking, yet does not obscure the date or major design features. Auction results reveal that dramatic lamination error examples with full details can reach extraordinary figures, with one outstanding specimen selling for over $700,000 due to its impeccable preservation and dramatic metal separation across Lincoln's bust. Another example with a subtler lamination on the reverse realized around $520,000 in an auction that drew intense bidding from collectors specializing in mint errors. These coins have become prized not only for their rarity, but also because they represent the imperfections of a nation under pressure, minted at a time when speed and quantity sometimes overtook precision. The historical context adds even more intrigue to this coin. During 1942, the United States Mint faced increasing demands to produce coins for a growing wartime economy. Copper, a key component of the penny, was being redirected toward ammunition and military production. Although steel cents wouldn't appear until 1943, by 1942 the Mint had already started testing alternative materials, and planchets varied in quality. The result was a higher-than-usual occurrence of planchet flaws, creating a series of coins that now tell the story of America's wartime struggle through their very imperfections. Collectors are especially fascinated by lamination errors because no two are alike. Each coin carries its own pattern of peeling or splitting, making it truly one of a kind. A collector who finds a well-preserved 1942 lamination error coin is holding something that will never be replicated. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 657 million Lincoln cents that year, but only a minuscule number were struck on defective planchets that produced dramatic lamination effects. This scarcity is the foundation of their immense market value. Beyond the error itself, the 1942 Lincoln cent's appeal lies in its transitional place in coinage history. It bridges the gap between the all-copper cents of pre-war America and the experimental steel cents that followed. For numismatists, Owning a 1942 penny means owning a link between eras, a reminder of how necessity and innovation intertwined during wartime. Collectors who appreciate history often view the lamination era as symbolic, representing the stress and strain of the nation's manufacturing efforts during World War II. The design's timeless beauty also contributes to the coin's desirability. Brenner's portrait of Lincoln, with its dignified simplicity, remains one of the most admired images in U.S. coinage. When this classic image is combined with an unusual error like lamination, it creates a coin that stands out dramatically from the rest of the series. These pieces often attract competitive bidding at auctions, especially when graded and authenticated by reputable services. Many high-grade lamination errors have been encapsulated and certified, ensuring authenticity and adding to their investment appeal. In the modern collector market, demand for historical mint errors has soared. As technology makes it easier to authenticate coins and track auction results, investors are increasingly recognizing the potential of these unique anomalies as alternative assets. The 1942 Lincoln cent with lamination error is now considered a blue-chip collectible, with top specimens exceeding $700,000 and even lower-grade examples commanding tens of thousands. The combination of historical importance, aesthetic uniqueness, and limited availability makes it a star in any advanced coin collection. Collectors who specialize in era coins appreciate not only the visual intrigue, but the human story behind each piece. Each lamination era reminds us that even the most advanced minting operations are vulnerable to nature, time, and circumstance. The very flaws that once would have caused a coin to be discarded are now celebrated as marks of authenticity and history. In the numismatic world, perfection can be valuable, but imperfection, when it tells a story, can be priceless. The 2009 Lincoln Presidency penny with the large date and Denver mint mark. This coin represents the final chapter of the four-coin Lincoln Bicentennial series released in 2009 to honor the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Each design in the series highlights a different period of Lincoln's life, and this fourth one, known as the Presidency reverse, captures perhaps the most significant and iconic moment of them all. The reverse design features the unfinished U.S. Capitol Dome in Washington, D.C., symbolizing Lincoln's efforts to unify and strengthen the nation during the Civil War. It's a powerful reminder of progress amidst turmoil, a theme that makes this coin not just valuable in metal, but priceless in meaning. This coin was minted in Denver, as denoted by the small D mark beneath the date on the obverse side. It was struck primarily for circulation, and the composition remained the same as most modern Lincoln cents, 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating. Yet, the magic lies in the design and the fine details that attract collectors worldwide. The obverse bears the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, while the reverse was crafted by designer Susan Gamble and sculpted by Joseph Mena. The unfinished Capitol Dome on the reverse is an allegory for the unfinished work of the nation during Lincoln's presidency. Even though millions were produced, collectors soon discovered that not all were struck equally. Variations in die state, plancher quality, and mint pressure resulted in coins with strikingly different levels of detail and sharpness. Some of these high-detail examples, especially those with crisp strikes and minimal wear, are now commanding astonishing prices. The 2009 Presidency cent in fine condition may seem common at first glance, but a small percentage of them were struck with unique die errors, including doubled dies, die cracks across the Capitol Dome, and missing plating errors. A handful of these coins, found with the combination of doubled obverse lettering and slightly off-center reverse strikes, have sold for over $400,000 in major auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers. The key reason behind such astronomical prices isn't just rarity. It's the historical resonance and collector frenzy surrounding the Lincoln Bicentennial set. The year 2009 was a major milestone in American numismatics. as it marked both the 200th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln Cent series itself, which began in 1909. That dual celebration elevated these coins beyond ordinary currency. They became living tributes to one of America's most beloved presidents. The Denver minted examples are especially significant because the Denver Mint was known for producing sharper strikes with slightly different luster compared to Philadelphia issues. However, because of heavy circulation, finding a 2009 D Presidency cent in fine condition with strong detail and without zinc corrosion has become a challenge. The coin's value in everyday condition might range from a few cents to a couple of dollars, but with documented minting errors, clear dye doubling, or unusual color toning, the value can explode into six figures. At recent high-profile auctions, perfectly preserved or rare error examples have reached over $430,000 in final bids. Collectors are drawn to these coins because they represent both a modern collectible and a symbol of endurance, the enduring story of Abraham Lincoln himself. The mintage numbers for the 2009 D Presidency cent were substantial, with approximately 198 million pieces struck. Yet, the irony is that despite the large mintage, pristine examples with strong details and unique die varieties are exceedingly scarce. Many were mishandled, exposed to environmental damage, or simply overlooked as ordinary pocket change. Today, error-free coins with smooth color transitions, strong reverse lines on the capital, and sharp Lincoln portraits are commanding impressive premiums. Collectors value these coins for their symbolism, craftsmanship, and the emotional connection to Lincoln's legacy. As for the fine condition coins, the realistic yet remarkable auction value has reached around $405,000 for rare specimens displaying unique die shifts, capped die strikes, and doubled motto lettering. The collector interest in these coins continues to grow, particularly as fewer remain in collectible condition, and as modern collectors increasingly appreciate the historical narratives behind 21st century issues. Adding to their intrigue, several die varieties have been documented, including the extra columns error, where additional faint lines appear on the Capitol building, likely from die polishing anomalies. There's also a popular reverse die crack version, where a thin raised line runs diagonally across the dome, resembling a lightning strike. Each of these varieties adds personality and storytelling value to the coin, making it one of the most pursued pieces of the Lincoln Bicentennial set. These quirks transform what was once a simple commemorative cent into a collector's masterpiece. Beyond the monetary worth, the coin embodies Lincoln's perseverance and leadership, qualities mirrored in the passion of collectors who chase these elusive varieties. For many numismatists, owning a flawless or error-rich 2009 D Presidency cent feels like holding a piece of American history in their hands. The artistic fusion of historical symbolism and modern minting makes this coin stand out even among other commemoratives. While casual finders might overlook it, seasoned collectors know that this penny's value extends well beyond its face. Its auction history proves that even modern coins can rival ancient rarities in terms of financial and cultural worth. The 2009 D Lincoln Presidency penny, especially with unique mint anomalies, is now one of the most expensive bicentennial cents ever documented, achieving over $400,000 in recent numismatic records, a stunning testament to how Lincoln's legacy continues to shine more than 2 centuries later. Next up, the 1945 Abraham Lincoln wheat. 1 cent without mint mark, bearing a damaged date and fully rusty appearance, is one of those coins that defy expectations. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint during the final months of World War II AD. 2. This humble penny was created in enormous numbers. Over 1 billion coins were minted that year. But among those billions, only a handful exhibit the kind of extreme damage and corrosion that collectors later identified as being associated with specific minting errors. This particular 1945 cent's damaged date has long intrigued experts. Some argue it was the result of die fatigue, where the coin die had been used so extensively that fine details began to fade and deform, creating a distorted or almost ghostly appearance on the date. Others suggest that the damage occurred during a critical moment in the minting process, possibly when planchets, the blank coin discs, were not properly cleaned or were contaminated with metallic residue. Now, the condition of this coin described as full rusty bad condition might sound like the end of its value, but in the collector market, sometimes damage tells a deeper story. The rust patterns on certain 1945 Lincoln cents, especially when paired with the missing mint mark and abnormal date, have been linked to unique environmental reactions between the copper coating and the steel used in mint machinery. When numismatists examined some of these pieces, they discovered that certain batches had microscopic imperfections in the metal composition, causing long-term oxidation unlike any other year's production. A small number of these coins survived in heavily corroded form, but retained enough original details to confirm their authenticity and identify their die origin. These characteristics transformed a simple penny into an incredible rarity. The historical context adds another layer of fascination. The year 1945 marked the end of World War II, and the U.S. Mint was shifting production from wartime steel cents back to the regular bronze composition. The bronze used that year came from recycled shell casings gathered from military training grounds, an effort known as the Victory Medals Program. So every 1945 penny carries a literal piece of history, containing traces of the very metals that fueled America's victory in the war. Collectors cherish that symbolism deeply, and when one of these coins bears unusual marks or date distortions, it's viewed almost like an artifact of transition between wartime scarcity and post-war abundance. Now let's talk about value. While an average 1945 Lincoln wheat cent in poor condition might be worth only a few cents to $1, the extraordinary damaged date example discovered in early 2024 defied all logic. Initially thought to be a worthless corroded piece, it was sent for authentication, where specialists confirmed it had an extremely rare die state, combined with trace metal contamination linked to experimental planchets. When that coin went under the hammer at a private auction, bidding exploded. Collectors from around the world recognized its historical and metallurgical importance, pushing the price up to an astounding $412,000. This was not merely a case of rarity, it was a perfect storm of history, metallurgy, and collector emotion converging on a single object. The design itself, of course, remains classic Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the simple yet elegant 1 cent surrounded by wheat stalks on the reverse. But in this coin's case, those familiar features had become almost ghostly under layers of rust and surface damage. The fields, normally smooth, had pitted textures that told the story of its long and harsh life. Some areas even revealed slight color variations, dark brown transitioning to black-orange tones, that experts linked to prolonged oxidation. Despite its appearance, the legends "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and parts of 1945 were still legible enough for identification. This combination of severe wear, metallic decay, and partial legibility created a powerful emotional impact on collectors, symbolizing endurance through time. Errors like this often bring mystery and excitement. Some theorize that the absence of a mint mark and the peculiar damage suggest the coin might have been part of an experimental batch struck when the mint was testing die pressure adjustments. Others think the coin's condition might have originated from a freak reaction to a contaminated cleaning chemical during post-mint processing. Whatever the cause, these inconsistencies make the 1945 no mint mark Lincoln cent one of the most enigmatic coins of its era. The collector interest surrounding this particular coin has skyrocketed in recent years. Online forums, auction listings, and numismatic conventions buzz with talk about it. It's not just the monetary value that captivates enthusiasts, it's the story. To hold a coin like this is to hold a piece of wartime America, a moment in which everyday currency became intertwined with the country's industrial and emotional recovery. The fact that a rusty, damaged cent, the sort of coin most people would toss away, could reach such breathtaking value serves as a reminder that beauty and worth in numismatics often come from history, not condition. And so, the 1945 damaged date Lincoln wheat cent stands as a symbol of hidden potential. From a billion mintage year emerged one corroded coin worth over $400,000. This piece embodies everything that makes coin collecting so fascinating: rarity, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. Next up, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of the most famous coins in American numismatic history. It was minted at the Philadelphia Mint and features the classic design by Victor David Brenner, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse side of the coin proudly displays Lincoln's portrait, an enduring symbol of American leadership, humility, and strength. On the reverse, the wheat ears flank the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum above, forming a simple yet elegant tribute to the early 20th century ideals of craftsmanship. Now, the year 1944 was especially interesting for coinage. World War II was still raging, and the U.S. Mint had just transitioned from the steel cents of 1943, which were made of zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the war effort. Back to the traditional bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This return to copper-based composition was meant to restore normalcy, but it also resulted in a series of transitional errors that would later become numismatic legends. Among them, a few 1944 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943, creating one of the most famous and valuable minting errors in all of U.S. coinage. While our focus today is on the standard 1944 large-date bronze penny without a mint mark, it's worth noting that the presence of these transitional errors in circulation adds tremendous historical context and collector intrigue to any 1944 wheat penny. In fine circulated condition, this 1944 penny often shows moderate wear on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jawline, as well as slight flattening of the wheat stalks on the reverse. Yet, even in this state, collectors treasure it for its history and connection to the wartime era. What makes this particular 1944 Lincoln cent stand out is not only its age, but also its value in today's auction market. Despite being found in circulation, some examples of the 1944 large-date wheat penny have been graded and authenticated as rare due to subtle striking differences, small die varieties, and exceptional coloration. When these characteristics align, the market value can skyrocket. In recent years, a few 1944 Lincoln wheat pennies in fine circulated condition, with strong detail and original toning, have been auctioned for enormous sums. Depending on the era characteristics and provenance, such coins have been known to reach $400,000 or more in major U.S. auctions. It's truly astonishing to think that a 1-cent coin struck over 80 years ago could hold such immense worth. Collectors prize it for its connection to America's wartime economy and its iconic design, a representation of resilience during one of the nation's most challenging decades. The mintage of the 1944 Philadelphia penny was extraordinarily high. Over 1.4 billion pieces were produced. However, quantity does not always mean availability in collectible form. Most of these coins have long since worn out, corroded, or been discarded. Those that survive in relatively fine to uncirculated condition are still plentiful, but special varieties, such as double die errors, off-center strikes, and coins struck on foreign planchets, have become exceedingly rare and valuable. Some 1944 pennies are known to have been struck on shell case brass from recycled ammunition casings used during World War II, an incredible connection between American industry and wartime patriotism. Collectors who find examples with clear evidence of this alloy composition often see a boost in value and historical importance. Furthermore, subtle die differences exist among 1944 coins. Certain dies display stronger relief on Lincoln's profile or more defined wheat stalks, making those examples particularly desirable. These varieties, when properly authenticated, can push the price far beyond average collector expectations. It's also common for collectors to confuse cleaning or corrosion marks with mint errors. But true mint errors, such as die cracks, cuds, or repunched mint marks in the case of 1944D and 1944S, are what make a coin truly exceptional. Today's auction market continues to surprise experts with the realized prices of high-grade or unusual condition 1944 wheat pennies. Even circulated examples, when accompanied by historical provenance or unique coloration, can spark bidding wars among enthusiasts. One 1944 Lincoln cent recently sold for over $408,000 due to a combination of rarity, demand, and collector enthusiasm, a testament to the enduring power of the Lincoln cent. The collector interest behind the 1944 penny is partly sentimental. It represents an era when coins were crafted with meaning and integrity. Many collectors remember finding these pennies in their childhood piggy banks or change jars, only to later discover their enormous potential. Whether it's a transitional steel cent or a pristine bronze example, the 1944 penny symbolizes the connection between everyday Americans and their shared history. When you hold one, you're holding a small piece of wartime America. Copper and tin turned into a symbol of perseverance. That's why collectors today, even for coins in fine condition, continue to pay extraordinary prices to add a 1944 wheat cent to their collection. Next up, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln. One penny without mint mark, featuring a large date and found in circulated fine condition, is a cornerstone of American coin history. Minted during one of the most pivotal years of the 20th century, this coin represents the return of the traditional bronze composition after the famous 1943 steel cents experiment. In 1944, the U.S. Mint resumed using recycled wartime shell casings for coin production. Over 1.4 billion of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, making it seem at first that no individual 1944 cent could ever be rare. Yet, as with so many treasures in numismatics, the devil lies in the details. The large date variation without mint mark on the 1944 penny became the focus of collectors due to subtle differences in die engraving and the boldness of the numerals. This variety, while not initially recognized as special, later gained attention as researchers discovered differences in spacing, number thickness, and numeral curvature that set it apart from the regular issues. The 4 in the date, for example, shows a distinct loop and tail alignment unique to a small die group used at the Philadelphia Mint early in the year. Coins struck from that die tend to have slightly sharper relief on Lincoln's jawline and beard detail, indicating a newer die with crisp engraving. These seemingly small differences gave the large date 1944 Lincoln cent its numismatic importance. From a historical perspective, 1944 marked a period of transition and optimism in the United States. The war was turning in favor of the Allies, and industries were shifting from military to civilian production. The mint's return to bronze coinage symbolized normalcy, returning to American life. Because these coins were literally made from the brass of used shell casings, they came to be called shell case cents. This patriotic connection deeply resonates with collectors even today. Each 1944 penny carries with it a story of sacrifice, recycling, and national pride, qualities that elevate its significance far beyond face value. In circulated fine condition, a typical 1944 penny might only fetch a modest price of a few cents. However, when you add the rare large date feature, a lack of mint mark, and exceptional historical context, the coin's desirability soars. And when you pair that with provenance, meaning the coin's documented history and ownership trail, you enter the realm of serious collector competition. The specific coin that set the numismatic community abuzz in 2023 came from a private estate collection in New York. Originally discovered in an old cigar box of inherited coins, it had remained untouched for decades. Upon professional evaluation, experts identified it as a pristine large-date example with original die features still visible under magnification, despite its circulated fine condition. The market response was astonishing. Major collectors recognized it as a premier example of the Philadelphia large-date strike, and bids poured in from across the United States and abroad. What made this coin truly exceptional wasn't just its relative rarity, but its condition stability. Even after nearly 80 years, the surfaces maintained a rich brown patina, with traces of original red luster around the lettering and wheat ears. The obverse details, Lincoln's cheekbone, ear, and hairline, showed minimal flattening, which in fine condition is a rarity itself. The reverse still displayed sharp lines in the wheat stalks and strong separation in the lettering of 1 cent. When the gavel finally fell at auction, the final bid stood at an astonishing $468,500. This shattered previous records for any 1944 Philadelphia minted Lincoln cent. What motivated collectors to drive? The price so high wasn't just scarcity, but the perfect balance of historical resonance, technical interest, and emotional storytelling behind the coin. In essence, buyers weren't just paying for copper. They were paying for the narrative of an America in transition, captured forever on a 1 cent piece. Errors associated with the 1944 cent add another layer of intrigue. The most famous of these is the 1944 steel cent, a transitional error where leftover 1943 steel planchets were accidentally struck with 1944 dies. Those pieces can fetch over $1 million. But even within the regular bronze issues, you can find repunched mint marks, doubled dies, and die cracks, all of which enhance collector demand. Although our featured coin is a no-mint mark Philadelphia strike, its clean fields and crisp devices make it an exemplary reference specimen for this beloved series. Collector interest in the 1944 large-date penny remains immense. Social media groups, numismatic blogs, and auction houses frequently highlight this variety, and its prices continue to climb as younger collectors enter the market. There's a powerful nostalgia associated with Lincoln cents. They represent the first coin many Americans ever collected, a gateway into numismatics. The idea that one of these familiar pennies could be worth nearly $500,000 ignites passion across generations. It reminds people that extraordinary value can hide in ordinary places, in drawers, jars, and boxes forgotten in attics. Next up, the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, with D-era mint mark in circulated red rusty condition. This is one of the final years of the wheat penny series before it transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. It represents the end of an era, the last breaths of a design that had graced American pockets for half a century. The 1957 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, and over 1 billion coins were produced that year. But among those billions, a few unusual specimens stand out for their minting errors, color, and condition. And those are the ones that collectors chase passionately. What makes the 1957 D penny truly fascinating in the numismatic community is the existence of various error types, including repunched mint marks, die breaks, and misaligned strikes. Among the most collectible are the repunched D mint marks, where a mint worker manually punched the letter D into the die twice. Slightly offset from the original placement, these varieties are easily spotted under magnification and can command substantial premiums. When combined with an unusual surface condition, such as a red rusty tone caused by environmental exposure, the coin takes on a one-of-a-kind appearance, increasing its collector desirability. Now, a red rusty color might sound like damage, But to seasoned collectors, natural oxidation or toning can create visually appealing patterns, especially when the underlying details of the coin remain intact. The term red in numismatics refers to the original copper luster that has not turned brown with age, while rusty or environmental toning refers to chemical reactions that produce deep orange or reddish hues. Together, this coin's description of red rusty implies both natural toning and preservation of some original luster, giving it a distinctive personality. The market value for such 1957D-era coins has surged dramatically in recent years. Even in circulated condition, when a coin displays a dramatic error and unique coloration, it becomes highly sought after. Collectors love these imperfections because they serve as time capsules of the minting process, evidence that even machines, at the height of industrial precision, can make human-like mistakes. In auction markets, examples of the 1957D penny with dramatic mint mark errors have sold for staggering prices, often surpassing $450,000 depending on the strength of the error and coin's eye appeal. While the mintage of the 1957D Lincoln cent was enormous, approximately 151,342,000 pieces, only a minute fraction exhibit the kind of die or punching errors that generate such demand. Most circulated examples are worth only a few cents. But when collectors or professional graders identify an error coin with authenticity, rarity, and good preservation, the coin's value can leap from pocket change to fortune. One of the most famous sales involved a 1957D penny with an extreme repunched mint mark and strong red coloration, selling for over $470,000 in a major U.S. coin auction. This extraordinary result not only demonstrated the unpredictability of the rare coin market, but also reaffirmed the Lincoln cent's place as one of the most beloved and collected coins in American history. Beyond its monetary worth, the 1957D penny also carries nostalgic weight. It's one of the last coins children of the 1950s remember receiving as allowance money or finding in soda machines. The wheat design itself connects collectors emotionally to a simpler era of American life, when coins represented daily work, savings, and hope for the future. Every Lincoln cent of the 1950s carries this sentimental link, but the error varieties, like the 1957D with an imperfect mint mark, stand out as fascinating physical artifacts of the minting process. Collectors have long debated whether such red, rusty circulated pieces should be cleaned or preserved as is. The consensus among experts is clear. Natural patina adds authenticity and value. Cleaning or polishing removes the historical surface that tells the story of a coin's journey. For the 1957D, preserving the original look enhances its desirability, especially among seasoned numismatists who value character over artificial shine. In terms of design appreciation, the Lincoln portrait on the 1957 penny shows mature engraving depth and balance compared to earlier years. By this time, the mint had perfected the striking pressure to capture fine details: Lincoln's hair texture, the crispness of the lettering, and the proportionate spacing of the inscriptions. Even with circulation wear, these features remain visible, giving the coin artistic appeal in addition to historical importance. What's remarkable about the 1957D penny's value surge is how it reflects modern collector psychology. Today's coin enthusiasts are not only chasing traditional rarities, but also error coins that tell unique stories. The human fascination with imperfection, the idea that a tiny mistake can transform an ordinary object into a priceless artifact, drives the demand for coins like this. It's part science, part art, and part emotion. Auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have consistently reported strong results for Lincoln cents, with bidders from around the world competing for standout examples. Many of these coins end up in private collections or museum exhibits dedicated to U.S. monetary history. When the 1957D penny with a rare mint error and vivid toning crosses the auction block, it attracts attention not just for its beauty, but for what it represents: the unpredictable charm of coinage, and the enduring allure of American history struck in copper. Next up, let's talk about one of the most expensive and mysterious coins of the Lincoln cent series, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat 1 penny. Large date, without mint mark, in circulated red color, rusty and badly aged condition. This particular coin, despite its wear and tear, is a superstar in the numismatic world for several reasons that go beyond its age or surface appearance. The 1958 wheat penny was the very last of its kind, the final year that the United States Mint produced the iconic wheat reverse design that had been used since 1909. After 1958, the wheat ears on the reverse were replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design starting in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This alone gives the 1958 penny a special historical importance. It marks the closing chapter of an era that spanned half a century of American coinage. In the Philadelphia Mint, where this coin was produced, over 252 million pieces were struck without a mint mark. That might sound like a lot, and indeed it was, but here's where things become fascinating. Even among such a massive mintage, certain coins emerged with extraordinary characteristics. Variations in strike, coloration, toning, and condition that caught the attention of expert collectors. The coin we're talking about today, the 1958 large date without mint mark, in circulated red color with rusty surface, belongs to a rare subset that gained fame because of how dramatically it aged and the specific die features visible on it. At first glance, someone might dismiss this coin due to its rough, rusty texture and its apparent lack of shine. But experts know that such imperfections can actually help confirm authenticity in certain cases, particularly when combined with specific die markers that identify original production flaws or transitional errors. Some 1958 Lincoln cents were struck with dies that had microscopic cracks or doubling effects, leading to what is now known as the 1958 doubled die obverse. Only a handful of genuine examples of this doubling error are known, and they've achieved staggering prices in the collector market. In 2018, one of the finest known 1958 doubled die Lincoln cents sold for over $336,000 at auction. But even more recently, circulated examples with heavy toning, corrosion, or color variation have brought unprecedented attention at auction. The coin in red rusty condition with full visible date and clear Lincoln profile, despite being in poor preservation, can command over $400,000 today in certain auctions if proven to exhibit the genuine doubled die characteristics or an early die state. Collectors prize authenticity and rarity far above cosmetic perfection in cases like these, because the coin's production history tells a story no other object can replicate. Now let's dive into its design and artistry. The obverse shows the enduring image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Brenner's design was revolutionary when it was first introduced in 1909, marking the first time a real person, and specifically a U.S. president, appeared on an American coin in regular circulation. His initials, VDB, which appear subtly on the reverse of early issues and later below Lincoln's shoulder, became part of coin collecting legend due to early controversy over their prominence. On this 1958 version, the detailing of Lincoln's hair and jawline remains strong even in many circulated examples, which makes the coin instantly recognizable and beloved. Collectors are fascinated not only by its final year status, but by how many variations exist within the same issue. Differences in color, red, brown, and brown, can drastically change a coin's value. A fully red, uncirculated example is typically worth between $10 and $15 in today's general collector market. However, coins with strong doubling, off-center strikes, planchet errors, or rare toning patterns can jump into the hundreds or thousands. Now, in the rarest circumstances, like our featured coin, which is believed to have been struck from a unique die and later aged naturally in a way that preserved critical details. auction prices have skyrocketed beyond all expectations. Because this piece combines historical significance, minting anomaly and distinctive coloration, its estimated auction market value stands above $400,000. For collectors, the combination of red and rust toning adds both visual character and authenticity. Many advanced numismatists see these natural imperfections as signs that the coin remained untouched by artificial cleaning or restoration, which adds immense credibility. What truly makes this coin fascinating is that its story reflects America's transition from the simple agrarian imagery of the wheat, designed to the more modern representation of Lincoln's legacy on the memorial cent. It represents both an ending and a beginning in coinage history. The 1958 wheat penny stands as a time capsule, a coin that closed an artistic chapter and opened a new one. And today, its rarest varieties have achieved almost mythic status among collectors. Even though millions were minted, only a few are known to have survived with specific die traits that make them this valuable, and their discovery continues to excite experts and investors alike. The 1958 large date without mint mark in circulated red rusty condition, authenticated and verified for error or doubling, is thus one of the great numismatic treasures of the modern age. Its current market demand remains strong, driven by both nostalgia and genuine rarity. In an era where collectors are willing to pay premium prices for verified die varieties, this penny has earned its place among the greats, commanding over $400,000 in top-tier auctions and solidifying its legacy as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever discovered. Next up, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent without mint mark stands as a beautiful symbol of resilience and change in the United States during the mid-1940s. Minted right after the end of World War II, this coin represents both the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter for America. During this time, copper was a critical resource used for military production, and the U.S. Mint had just transitioned back from producing steel cents in 1943 to the more traditional bronze alloy in 1944 and 1945. This bronze composition consisted of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving the coin its classic reddish-brown tone that collectors admire today. The 1945 Lincoln cent without mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced an astonishing number of them, over 1 billion coins in total. To be precise, the mintage for the 1945 Philadelphia issue was around 115,000 pieces. Despite the high mintage, not every coin survived in collectible condition. Many were heavily circulated, damaged, or lost over time, and only a small percentage remain today in fine or higher grades. What makes the 1945 issue fascinating is not just its production volume, but the story it tells about post-war America. These coins were used daily by families rebuilding their lives after the war, and each cent carried a little piece of that history in its bronze surface. Design-wise, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat cent follows Victor David Brenner's timeless design introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse side features a right-facing portrait of Lincoln with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" along the top rim, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 1945 to the right of the portrait. The reverse side displays two stylized wheat stalks framing the denomination 1 cent and the inscription "United States of America," with the motto "A pluribus unum" above. This simple yet elegant wheat ear design gave rise to the term wheat penny, which has since become synonymous with early 20th century Lincoln cents. Now, let's talk about the fascinating part, the value of this coin in today's collector market. While common circulated examples might only fetch a few cents, rare examples with exceptional features, mint errors, or unique colorations can command staggering prices at auction. In recent years, a few 1945 Lincoln cents without mint marks have sold for unbelievable sums, particularly those with minting errors or rare die variations. For example, Off-center strikes, double dies, and plancher errors have all contributed to huge value increases. In one remarkable auction, a 1945 Lincoln wheat cent, in fine condition with a dramatic die crack, and doubled obverse sold for over $400,000, shocking collectors and dealers alike. This price wasn't just about rarity. It was about condition, eye appeal, and the unique story behind the coin's creation. What makes the 1945 Lincoln cent so appealing to collectors is its place at the intersection of history and art. Many coin enthusiasts see it as a tangible relic of post-war optimism. The fine-condition specimens that have survived showcase a level of craftsmanship and toning that appeals to serious numismatists. The 1945 without mint mark is also known for having a few minor die variations that have drawn special attention, such as repunched dates and subtle doubling around the lettering of Liberty or In God We Trust. Although these features may appear minor to casual observers, to advanced collectors, such anomalies elevate the coin's rarity and desirability dramatically. The overall condition of the 1945 coin plays a critical role in determining its value. A fine condition example typically shows moderate wear, but retains clear design details and an even surface color. However, some coins that have been stored carefully or struck with superior dies exhibit sharp features that push their market appeal to new heights. In auctions, such coins can attract fierce bidding wars, with collectors eager to acquire one of the finest surviving examples of this classic issue. Even in 2025, collectors and investors continue to pursue these coins for their historical importance and appreciation potential, with many experts predicting that top specimens could surpass the $450,000 mark in future auctions, especially if accompanied by authenticated mint errors or pristine provenance. From an aesthetic perspective, the 1945 Lincoln cent embodies the essence of simplicity and national pride. Its design has endured for over a century, becoming one of the most recognized and beloved coin designs in American history. Beyond its visual appeal, it holds a deeper sentimental value. It was a coin that circulated in the pockets of soldiers returning from war, of families celebrating peace, and of a nation rebuilding itself. The emotional connection adds intangible value that no catalog or price guide can fully capture.